Okay, so let's take care of chapter 5. Let's do this last clip number 7, slides 48 through 52, and I'm going to give you some financial planning advice. First, the first step, do a budget. And once you do a budget, then accumulate and hold 6 to 12 months of regular monthly expenses in a liquid account, a money market fund. Okay? Then savings in excess of this amount should be invested. Unless you have an alternative means to pay your bills in the event you become unemployed, or unless you can pay your bills, save money, and take advantage of the company match, you should start small with your 401k or IRA contributions until you have a cash reserve. Start with that cash reserve. Don't get too aggressive with your 401k until you have enough money to pay your bills for at least 6 months, if you become unemployed. Okay? Then, once you have that emergency fund, maximize your contribution of your 401k to get the company match. Okay? Make sure that your 401k, your retirement plan, is diversified, folks. I see this happen all the time. This means you should not overload in your company stock. When you go to work for a company that's publicly traded, people get all excited. They tell you about all the great things that are happening at the company. They tell you they're millionaires because of the company stock. Be very, very careful. Okay? All great companies hit the wall and their stocks go down. Treat your company stock like any other stock. Do not overload. Please, please, please diversify your portfolio. All right. Insurance is extremely important. The earlier you start, the cheaper life insurance is. Okay? However, since you don't need insurance until you have people who rely on your income and wealth, if you're single, you don't have anyone relying on your income or wealth, you really don't need insurance. But when you're young and single, life insurance is cheap. So don't rush into a large amount of insurance just because your good friend has gone to work for a life insurance company and has told you you need $10 million worth of life insurance. Be smart, okay? Early in your life, all right? So you can start buying insurance and then add to it as you get married and as you have children. So start small and just keep adding to it, okay? Consider having a very moderate whole life policy early on. I teach a class on insurance, and I'll teach you about the different kinds of insurance policies that are out there. I think you should have a whole life policy early on, but make sure it's not too large. Remember that insurance people will tell you that you need large policies because they get paid based on the size of the policy, okay? So somewhere between, I would say, $100,000 to $200,000 is your max on a whole life policy, okay? And take my course on insurance and you'll learn a lot more about it. And then you can add some level pay term life to get your family through the education years, okay? So don't overdo your insurance, but have enough, okay? Your total insurance package should include term life, which is at least 5 times your annual income, disability insurance, and an umbrella liability policy. Your umbrella liability policy should be outside of your employer package and your homeowner's policy. It is cheap, folks, okay? Umbrella liability is cheap. Once you have assets, you want to protect those assets. If you get sued, you don't want to lose those assets. That's what an umbrella liability policy is for. You should also consider life and disability insurance outside of your employer package. Folks, the disability and life insurance that you will get through your employer they're peanuts. The amount of coverage is peanuts. It's very small. Oh, I've got life insurance at work. How much? I don't know. Look into it. $25,000, $50,000 at the most. Not enough. So you need to buy your own life insurance, and you need to buy a reasonably sized disability policy. It's a cost of being the head of a household. It's a cost of having children and a wife or a husband who's dependent on you. Okay? And if you lose your job, you'll still have the insurance coverage that you need. Okay? 3 critical regulations in the investment business I want you to be mindful of. The first is know your client. This means you must document that you have researched and that you understand an exhaustive list of factors pertaining to a client's risk and return. You must know your client's emotional state. You must know your client's investment time horizon. You must know your client's financial circumstances. Okay? If you're ever sued, you must know these things. Suitability. This means you should only invest in or recommend that a client invest in securities that are suitable given the client's risk and return profile. Individual securities and positions should be judged on the basis of the client's entire investment portfolio. I've said that before and I'll say it again. It's okay to take small risks in small places and it's entirely suitable. Okay? And then lastly, fiduciary duty. Fiduciary duty. This means always putting a client's interest first, ahead of your own interest, or the interest of anyone else. If you are a registered investment advisor, you must adhere to fiduciary duty. Everything you do for a client must be for his or her benefit, not to pad or line your bank account. Okay? In a lawsuit, a judge or jury will use the prudent man rule to determine if you have carried out your fiduciary duty. Have you done your research? Do you know what's best for the client? And have you actually done that? Okay? And this is based on establishing a benchmark by assuming what a responsible person with your academic training and credentials and your work experience would do under similar circumstances. They bring in experts who will do the work that you should have done as an investment manager to determine your client's risk and return profile. They then analyze the portfolio to see if it meets those criteria. All right, so Chapter 5 is done. And Chapter 5, as I mentioned at the beginning of Chapter 5 is the heart of our investments course. I think it's the single most important chapter, and I really, really, really want you guys to study it diligently. Know Chapter 5. All right, peace out. Shalom. See you next time for Chapter 6.